being overly introspective is so counterproductive. Introspection leads to this idea that you can think your way out of anything, that you can understand yourself, think it through, and change it. But I don't think that's always possible. Sometimes things are just the way they are. And it's not about the control, it's about acceptance. I think going down this introspection rabbit hole leads to this endless cycle of dissatisfaction. I think being introspective is super celebrated because it's this idea of having this higher degree of awareness of your own mind. And even the thought of that sounds really cool, you know, to be able to understand your mind, how it works, how it influences you, and why it is the way it is, and why you are the way you are. But that's just an idea. I think approaching introspection from this angle of understanding leads to this false reality that you're capable of understanding how your mind works. I just think that's not true. And forget the mind as a whole. I don't even think you can understand your current thought or your next thought. You don't control your thoughts. Your thoughts simply arise and you observe them. But the moment you start identifying with your thoughts, the moment you start picking at it and trying to figure out why it is the way it is and analyze it and place expectations or create a judgment of positive thought or negative thought, and then label that as introspection, that's the moment where this downward spiral begins. It's endlessly dissatisfying. Even with all the technology that exists in the world today, you would not be able to map out your brain enough to predict your next thought. And that's just predicting. Knowing your next thought, that's a different level. But I don't think this entire idea of introspection is all wrong. I just think the common interpretation of it is really misleading. I think you can break down introspection into two different things. One is observation, and another is understanding. But they're two different things. To observe and to understand are almost opposites. When you observe your thoughts, you're not identifying with them. You're simply observing. You're withholding your judgment. You are just collecting information. It only means something when you want it to mean something. And on the other end, when you approach it from the intention of understanding, there's expectations. There's a judgment of good or bad that relates to your expectations. And then there's the analyzing, which comes from this fundamental belief that you can change this process. You start to believe your thoughts are the issue. You'll start to attack your thoughts and try to fix it. But there is no fixing. You can't fix something you don't understand and you don't control. I think approaching yourself, your identity, and your thoughts from this scientific framework of analyzing and understanding, I think it leads you to believe this false reality that with enough data points, you can come to a conclusion, that there's a hypothesis to be formed, that there's different actions that you can take to get the outcome that you want. But that's just a reality that cannot be achieved. And that's okay. Just because you cannot understand your mind doesn't mean you can't observe it. And maybe observation is the thing that you were looking for anyways. Maybe observation is the thing that lets you be more satisfied with your nature and who you are. You might not be able to analyze your mind, but you can accept and observe it. And you might not be able to outrun your thoughts, but you don't have to. Your thoughts aren't who you are. And it's not your thoughts themselves that matter. It's what you do with it.